The greeter's role is to direct voters to the correct table in the polling place and ensure that the voters are at the right polling location based on their address. If you are assigned to be a greeter judge, please locate the folder in the blue box. Inside this folder, you'll find instructions to perform this task, a sign indicating the voter must be 18 years to vote. Please post this near the door. The last line in voter card, which is pink, the precinct finder, an incident log, and curbside voting forms. While voters are not required to check in with the greeter judge, sometimes the greeter judge is asked to confirm that a voter is registered. In order to do this, you've been provided with a paper greeter list inside of the greeter judge folder. You can look up the voter's name and verify that they are still living at the address listed in the greeter list. Once that has been verified, direct the voter to the poll pad table. If the voter's name is not on the greeter list, or if their name has changed, or the residential address is different from what is on the greeter list, they need to use the Election Day registration process to update their voter registration. First, use your precinct finder to verify that their current residential address is in the precinct. When checking the precinct finder, you need to verify the street address and the house range. OEB, which is a column on that spreadsheet, stands for odd, even, or both, and it refers to the numbers within the house range. Once you have verified their current address is in your precinct, direct them to the poll pad judge. If you determine that the voter's address is not in the precinct, they should be voting at a different location. In order to find this location, if they still live within the same city, you can use the City Precinct Finder and Polling Location List located in the Head Judge folder. The poll pad also has a county-wide precinct finder on it, and so you could direct them to an available poll pad judge. If the voter has further questions about where to vote, you could also direct them to the head judge. And finally, you can always have the voter contact Washington County if you're unable to determine the correct polling location for that voter. Per Minnesota statute, there can be no solicitation of voters or distribution of campaign material within 100 feet of the building in which the polling place is located. This just includes public property. There is also no lingering near the polling location allowed. Challengers must present a letter of appointment, and if a challenger enters the polling location, you should direct them to the head judge. The greeter will play an important role in helping ensure that public health is looked out for both election judges and voters on Election Day. Prior to starting your shift, please discuss the capacity of the room with the head or the co-head judge. Throughout the day, then, you'll monitor and control the flow of voters into the polling place. We'll want you to ensure that the room doesn't ever become overcrowded. Please also remind voters to remain 6 feet apart while in line. You also can invite voters to use the hand sanitizer upon entry and exit of the polling location. You also could invite them to wear a disposable mask if they don't have their own. However, no voter should be turned away for not wearing a mask. All voters should be allowed to vote as long as they are eligible to vote in your precinct. Minnesota law prohibits a person from displaying campaign materials or inducing or persuading a voter inside the polling place. The campaign materials can include any item, including the name of a political party that has candidates on the current ballot that you're voting on that day. It also includes any item with the name of a candidate that is on the current ballot that you're voting on that day. Finally, it can include support or opposition to a ballot question on the current ballot being voted on that day. As the greeter judge, you're likely the first person that might spot someone wearing campaign materials or trying to persuade voters within the polling location. If you do spot this, please call your head or co-head judge over and let them know what you have observed. The head and co-head judge can then deal with this situation. They will ask the individual to cover up or remove any campaign material that they are displaying. If the voter refuses, the head or co-head judge will explain that the voter will be allowed to vote, but that the incident will be documented and referred to the Washington County Elections Office. It's important to note that even if a voter refuses to remove the campaign material that they are displaying, they must be allowed to vote. On the incident log after the incident has occurred, please include the name and the address of the voter from the poll pad who refused to remove their campaign material. Also include a description of the material that they refused to remove or cover up. Or if they were trying to persuade voters within the polling location, include those details. Thanks for your help with this item. It doesn't happen very often, but if it does, like we said, grab your co-head or head judge, and if you have any follow-up questions, call us here at Washington County.
Representatives of the media are allowed to be in the polling place for an unlimited amount of time during voting hours for observation purposes. Media representatives must provide the following: photo identification, a recognized media credential, as well as written verification from a local elections official that their credentials are accurate. Representatives of the media cannot be within 6 feet of voters. They can't converse with voters inside the polling location. They're not allowed to make a list of persons voting or interfere with the voting process in any way. They also cannot take a voter's picture without their permission. If you have any issues, please direct the media to the head judge. Per Minnesota law, all voters that are in line at 8 p.m. must be allowed to vote. This may mean that your polling location will be open later than 8 p.m. It is your role as the greeter judge to locate the last voter in line at 8 p.m. Hand them the last voter in line pink card located inside the greeter judge folder. Have them sign the card, or you may stand at the end of the line to ensure that no other voters attempt to vote after 8 p.m. After the last voter has gone through your polling location, please follow the instructions on the greeter and curbside judge folder to begin close down of the polling location. This folder will tell you where to place all of your items to close the polls.
Place all greeter lists and precinct finders in the close of polls plastic bag. If you processed any curbside voters throughout the day or throughout your shift, ensure that all certification forms and EDR forms were given to the poll pad judge. This shouldn't be inside the folder, and these forms should have been given to the poll pad judge at the time that the voter voted. But just in case there's anything left over, make sure those get to the poll pad judges.
Before leaving the polling location, check out with the head judge to be sure that there aren't any other tasks you can help with to close down the polling place. If you have any questions throughout the day that your head judge cannot answer, please call Washington County Elections.